Undoubtedly one of the greatest players in the world, Ollie Campbell made 22 appearances for Ireland, including perhaps his most memorable against Scotland in 1982, when he clinched the Triple Crown by scoring all 21
It's curling
points.
and it's over! Ollie Campbell has set all sorts of records. He now has scored more points in one match for Ireland than anyone else in history.
His tally of 217 points is a record for an Ireland player. His great rival for the out-half position is Tony Ward.
I was just talking to him last week. I know how much he's been looking forward to playing out his season with Belvedere and playing club rugby and looking forward to enjoying it. So he must be very, very disappointed. I'm very disappointed for Ollie.
Was your rivalry over the years a friendly one, or were there any elements of the co-Ovid syndrome in it?
Obviously it was competitive, I mean, because we were both competing for our international places, but at the same time, no, you couldn't draw an analogy with Coe and Ovid, because Ollie's such a nice guy, you just can't but like him, and unfortunately it never, or fortunately it never took on the edge of that type of bitterness.
Campbell has played at all levels of the game, from schoolboy to youth and old Belvedere, and then full international, and a coveted place with the Lions touring.
Nicely back to
First
Campbell.
captain 1976, his ability was complete in all areas, kicking, defence and attack.
Just look at the artistry of Ollie Campbell. Going to short side, there's one dummy. Beautiful speed, the second dummy. He drew the full back. Perfect pass to Mosfin. Beautiful try.
But a recurring injury forced Campbell out of representative rugby before the start of this season, and now also out of the club game.
Ollie, can you tell us why you've finally decided to quit the game and how you feel now?
Well, obviously disappointed that I've sort of had to make the decision. But over the last 3 years, I've actually only managed to play 6 full games. Just have had a recurring hamstring problem. So I really had to face the decision and actually make a final decision. I've, over the last 2 summers, I've trained as hard as anyone else has done, or as hard as I could have. And in each season, I've actually only managed 1 game in each season. So really, I really had to make a decision.
A difficult one?
It's taken me a long time to make it, really. The last game I played now was the first game of this season, which is back in September. So really, it has actually taken me since September. I've tried a couple of times running since then, but really, as soon as I get to about half pace, it starts pulling again. So I'd say it's taken about 4 months to finally make the break.
Looking back on that extraordinary career now, what are the moments that come flooding back? Is it 82 and the Triple Crown and the Championship, or are there other highlights for you?
Well, obviously that would be the main highlight. There are 2 particular. I think obviously the 82, not only the Scottish game, but I think the 3 matches of that year. First of all, beating Wales, which sort of ended a long series of 7 games without winning. Then the English game, sort of hanging on to win by a point. And then obviously to sort of win Triple Crown for the first time in 33 years, having been brought up as a kid since with Jackie Kyle ringing my ears from my father. So it was nice to be, obviously that was a dream come true. But also touring New Zealand in 83 with the Lions, and although it was a very sort of disappointing tour, I've read a lot of books about New Zealand rugby. I would know as much about New Zealand rugby almost as I would about Irish rugby. So I think to have toured New Zealand, beaten and all as we were in the 4 tests, I really enjoyed that tour as well. So I think those two would be my fondest memories, really.
One man who has had to live in your shadow for a very long time, of course, is Tony Ward.
Well, I'm not sure who's lived in whose shadow, really, whether he's been in mine or mine in his. Tony's a fantastic player. He's a great guy. A lot of people sort of said it's an awful pity that we both came along at the same time. But in a way, I'm glad we did, really. I think it added an awful lot. I think to the whole Irish sort of scene, the rugby chat. And I certainly think, we've appreciated the rivalry. And our rivalry has actually been very healthy and purely on the sporting field. And in that way, I'm sort of glad we came along at the same time and had our rivalries overplayed for Ireland.
And we see it again, that beautiful dummy, perfect pass, and Mosfin took his chance beautifully. Those scenes speak for themselves. What a marvellous players there, and look at this man, the record breaker, 6 penalty goals and a dropped goal, 21 points, Just look at the excitement at Lansdowne Road. The scene's incredible. As 33 years have faded away, and looking back over the other great names, I think he's nearly had too much. And I don't know how he's going to make it in the last few yards into the dressing room. Tremendous moment for Ireland, for Ollie Campbell. And looking down the pitch as he goes in, I'm sure maybe we'll be able to see him coming into the dressing room.